make sure. So this is the rendering. These are the renderings of this project, the Steinway and Sons, and this is cover sheet. Let's just see what we got going here. This is kind of the exterior of the building. It's got some glazing on both sides, and there's a front door here, and then going into the various rooms, there is I don't know if it's clever or not, but there is, sort of an image of this of a piano as you move from room to room. Let me show you another scene here. So this is one of the there's a you know what I should do? I should show you the floor plan first. So let me show you that. So as you come into the space, there's a reception area here and a waiting area and then a showroom. And between each of these areas is that sort of that piano shape that you're going through. So you're going through sort of a passage between the reception and the waiting area, and the reception and the showroom. And then from the showroom, there is another passage that goes into a small green room here, and then goes into a conference room. I usually, when there's a little mini reception area here, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes this is called a green room, where you can. This is a small one, but a lot of times you sign in to go. If there's a conference thing that you're going into, sometimes you'll pick up a name tag or badge or something like that, or handouts, and then go into the conference room. So there's a green room, and then beyond that, there's a moderately large open office area with some workstations, and then the VP of production is over here. And then this door here, this goes into the factory area. This is one corner of a larger building. So this wall down here on the south end, I'll assume north is up. So the south end here and the east end, these are exterior walls, and they've got windows in them, as you can see. And then off here to the west and to the north is sort of the factory area of the piano factory here. So that is sort of the layout of the space. And so let me go back to this. So this is the little piano showroom here, and here is the reception area over here, and there is this reception desk here. It's got a bow front on it, and there are some columns here with some exposed beams. You can see them also here. This is the reception area. So you'll come in. The front door is here to the right. You come in. Reception area is here. There's a waiting area in the foreground here, and then the piano showroom, and there are exposed beams running across from a column over here to the exterior wall, and also exposed beams running across from column to column over here. And then this is looking in the other direction. The piano showroom here is at the foreground, and the waiting area for the reception area is over here. And then these are some sketches that she did to sort of show how those spaces would be laid out. And there's an elevation here. She did a detail over here. Let's see what else I've got here. Here's just one more image of the reception area here, and kind of goes back. And then again, the reception area here. Now, what we are going to show on our plan is not going to be this exactly. What we're going to have are some raised areas here and a little raised bonnet here. And think of when you go to the bank and you're going to the teller, right? There is the transaction top in the middle, and then there's two high higher pieces on the left and the right. And those usually hide equipment or paper or computer monitor, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to show those on our plan too. And there'll be one here and there'll be one over here. And those are usually called bonnets, B-O-N-N-E-T, in the millwork industry and also in the banking industry. My office, we do a fair amount of small community banks, and so we're no stranger to those things. All right, let's see. And then I think I have one last one here. Oh, that's just the cover sheet. So, I just wanted to give you an idea of what this project is, so you have a visual idea of it. And I don't know if it would be helpful, but if you want, I'll upload those to this week's class folder, so that you can take a look at it if you want and you're interested in it more further. Also, if you are interested in the Advanced Viz Tech class, which I am not teaching right now, so that's a chance to get away from me, I guess. That is an example of the kind of rendering that you'll end up doing in that class. It's a very cool class. All right, so I have a new drawing started here, and let me go back to my floor plan and let's just take a closer look at it. So again, I have running along the east and the south walls here, I have exterior walls. And in this case, you can see right over here, those exterior walls are 8 inches thick along this wall here and this wall here. Again, 8 inches thick of those walls. Now, for this project, and I said before, most of the time interior walls are 5 inches, but in this case, the interior walls happen to be 6 inches thick. So 8 inches thick for the exterior walls, and then the interior walls, and that includes everything except for these 2 walls here. So all this wall here, this, and everything else inside is 6 inches thick. And then I have and then you'll see some dashed lines or some dotted line, not dotted, but dashed lines running here. And those represent something happening above us that is important to the design of this project. And in this case, these are those exposed wood beams here, here, and here. And then you can see there's 2 columns. There's a column here, and there's a column over here. And then right here, there is another opening here with dashed lines over it. And these are the piano profile passageways that go into the green room here, and then continue into the back of the house here, the open office area here. There's a public toilet here. There's a little kitchenette, closet, and a reception area. So, okay, so having looked at that, let's think about how we're going to draw this. So there's a bunch of dimensions on here, which is great. And there's a 30-foot overall that goes from the inside face of the exterior wall to the inside face of the factory walls here. But I don't see an overall in the other direction. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to do this a different way. We'll either need to calculate the dimension, 32 feet plus 6 inches plus 12 feet, and get out your pencil and add that up so that you can get this overall. Or we can start in one corner, perhaps maybe this corner here, and draw 12 feet and draw 14 feet, and then start offsetting to get this conference room area and this open office area here, and then fill it to define the overall volume of the space. So that's the way I'm going to do it, just because it's a different way, and I just want to expose you to, I think by now you know in AutoCAD there's 100 different ways to skin a cat, and you can do things a lot of different ways. And I'm just going to do it that way for the sake of argument for this project here, or for today. So let me pull this off. Like I said, I started a new project. I'm using our template, and I'm on my walls layer. So let's start with the line tool, and I'm going to start a line tool, and I'm going to go over here, and I'll turn my ortho on, and I'll go over 12 feet, and I'll come down 14 feet. So those are the two walls of my, or two inside walls of my VP of production. And I think what I'll do is offset, and I think I'll show you something new. So up until now, when I'm offsetting, it asks for the offset distance, and if I'm offsetting down to get this wall here, I would type 14 feet, right? Because that's the distance from this point here to down here. But sometimes you don't know what the distance is, or you don't feel like typing it. So there is actually another way to set the offset distance. What I can do is I can pick 2 points, and the distance between those 2 points will be automatically set as the offset distance. So I'll choose this point here, and then this point down here. And when I click that second point, it's automatically asking me what the it did ask the offset distance, and now it's asking me, it asked for the second point, which was down here. And now down here, it's asking the object to offset. So I will just click this and offset down. And I'll just hit enter or my space bar to exit out of the command. Now, I want to offset this little partition here, or partition thickness here. So I set offset, and you'll notice that my offset distance is 14 feet, which was the width of the room. So actually, you know what? I think I'll offset this distance. So if I want to offset from here to here, and now it's asking me the offset object to offset, and I can just offset that room right there. So that is another way to do offsetting. I often do it when I am offsetting walls, interior partitions, because I guess it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, right? You can type 6 and enter, or I can just, I'll just find another wall and do the distance between the 2 walls. So in this case, I'm going to offset, and this time I will type 6, and I'll offset this wall and this wall. And while I'm at it, I'll get these exterior walls. So I'll offset 8 to get that wall there. So the next room down is the conference room, and that's 15.5 feet, 15.6. So I'll offset that 15'6". There it is. And I've got an exterior wall out here, so I'll offset 8, because my exterior walls are 8 in this case. And now I'll just fill it. To close that off there. All right, so then let me go back up here, and I have 32 feet for the open office area. So I'll offset 32 feet. There it is. And now I need this wall. So I'll offset, and I could type 6, but this time what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go from here to here, which I know is 6 inches. And then I'll just offset that. And while I'm at it, I'll offset that. All right.
Paul, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
When you're designing this way, room by room, is it always easier to start from the right and move to the left, or does it matter as a personal preference?
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't matter. It's just whatever seems to work out, or what dimensions you've got. You can start at any corner and work in any direction. Yeah. So, all right, so now I have the overalls here. Let's just close this off here. Now I've got that up. And now I have my whole overall dimensions for overall size of the space. So let's see. Let me go back to the piano width, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this out. There we go. And the width of the conference room is 15 feet. So let me just offset 15 feet. And then offset 6. And I'll just go from here to there. And let's see. And this wall actually extends all the way over here, all the way to here. So I can use the extend tool. If I go to trim and I hold my shift key, I can, that's going to extend to there and then extend to there. Remember, it just always extends to the next line that it's intersecting. So that's why I'm doing it in a couple steps there. And so the showroom, the piano showroom is 9.5 feet. So I'll offset that 9'6" or 9.5 feet, either one. And then I have another wall that is 6. And I've got another, my reception area is 9 feet wide. And I've got another wall that's 6. And my last one is 9.5 feet wide. Let's just use this and let's just make sure. Yes, it says 9'6". Oops. There we go. 9'6" wide. So that looks like it is just perfect. And then let's see, I have a little, yeah.
It's Rebecca. I have a question. The exterior wall on the left-hand side, did you make that 6 inches?
This wall here?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? That's not an exterior wall. That is that goes into the piano factory. So in actuality,
because there's no measurement for it, so it just, I just wasn't sure.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, there's no measurement noted.
For what?
That wall, that interior. I didn't realize that was an interior wall.
Yeah, actually there isn't. Oh no, I guess there isn't. Yeah, but yes, that's a 6-inch wall. The only walls that are 8 inches is this south wall. I'm going to call this south, and then this east wall over here. So the building actually extends out further, continues on. So I'm just sort of, I'm extending my exterior walls up and to the left so that it indicates to the viewer that, there's more building over here. There's more building over here. All right. So what else have I got? I've got a toilet room and the green room and the receptionist, and all 3 of those rooms are 5'6". So I'll just offset 5'6" and put in a 6-inch partition there. I can trim this out here. And so there I have the major partitions in my room. So here and here, I've got 2 columns, 2 exposed columns, and they are 1 foot by 1 foot, 12 inches by 12 inches. So let's see, these partitions are 6 inches. And so the columns are going to extend out 6 inches more, but equal on both sides of the partition. So that would be 3 inches on this side and 3 inches on this side. So, you know, there's a whole bunch of ways I can do this. Let me just start. I think, let me try this. I'll start with a rectangle that goes from here. Well, first let me do this. Let's just trim out those. Now, let me draw a rectangle from, I went from that corner to that corner. So I know that this rectangle here is exactly 6 inches wide by 6 inches deep, and I know that because the wall is 6 inches wide by 6 inches deep. So now what I'll do is I will just use the offset tool and offset 3 inches. Now this column, let's just make sure, I'll use the measure tool here. And you know, let me just distance here. I'll measure from here to here. And yes, that is 1 foot. So that's just what we want. And let me just measure here from here to here. And that is 1 foot there. So now all I need to do is just trim out all of these, and I'm good. And now what I can do is I can copy this column from here to here, right? So what we need though is we need a point of reference. So we need when we copy, I need to have the base point someplace, and then I need to have that same point over here. So what I could do is, let me just go to copy here. And I can choose this point, this piece of end point of the wall here, and I can go straight across so that I hit the perpendicular of that wall there. And I've got my second wall, my second column in place. And then all I need to do is trim. So, but you know what? But maybe that's too complicated. Maybe there's another way we can do this. And I'm just going to do it just for the sake of doing it here, just to give you all some ideas of other ways to do stuff. So I'm going to go back to my rectangle tool, and I'm going to just draw a column, a free column that's floating. It's 12 inches wide, comma, 12 inches. There's my 12 by 12. So what I want is I want to move this column so that the middle of this column is right at the middle of the intersection of these two walls. So what I could do is I could draw some guidelines. So let me just draw using the line tool, and I'm just going to draw a diagonal there because the midpoint of that diagonal will be the actual midpoint between these two walls. And then I can draw a diagonal at the column. And I know that the midpoint of this diagonal is the exact center of this column. So I can move, I'm using the move tool here. And now I'm going to select the base point. I'll select the midpoint of that diagonal line I drew. And let me turn off my ortho. And I'll just move it to the midpoint of that diagonal line that I drew over there. And then get rid of these guidelines and then just trim this out. Oops, I made a little mess there, so let me just fill it that. No big deal. All right, so now I have my columns here, and so the next thing what I would do is I would start trimming out, you know, cleaning up my my interior partitions here. Make everything nice and neat. And then I would start to add doors here. And I think I'm not going to add doors right now, But what I will do is I will add this front desk counter and the bonnets and look at that area there. So if I look at my drawing or the handout, there is an arc that goes from the corner of this column to out here 1 foot. So it extends out 1 foot and then goes to this corner here. So what I need to do, so what I can do is I can use a 3-point arc at where I need to specify 3 points. So I can select this point and then that 1 foot mark at the midpoint of the counter, and then the third point would be this corner here. So let me offset this wall a foot, 12 inches or 1 foot. So now I can draw my arc, endpoint, midpoint of this line, and then endpoint of that line, and then get rid of this line here. So let's go to arc. And again, there's a whole bunch of arcs. You just want to make sure that you're on a 3-point arc. And I believe by default, that is what it's set to, but there it is. And it's asking me the first point. And the second point is the midpoint there. And the third point is that endpoint. I'll get rid of this. And I'm good. So there is the front of the transaction top. And now I have got 2 bonnets that come out here. They come out 2.5 feet, and they're the full width of this column. So that's easy enough. I'll just go with my line, come out. Let me put on my ortho to make sure that I'm running horizontally. 2.5 feet. And I could do 2'6" or 2.5 feet. And then I'll come down a foot and then come back there. Beautiful. And now I could just draw it over here, but I'm going to use the mirror tool just to get more practice in here. And I'll select 3 lines that represent the bonnet. And then I need a midpoint. So it could be here, or it could be the midpoint of this arc. It could be this line. I'll just choose the midpoint of the arc here. Come up. I want to make sure that I'm going exactly vertical, not almost vertical, but exactly. And do I want to erase the source objects, which are these? No, I don't.
Mr. Gangola, I have a question.
Yes.
What if you wanted that projection of that, like the console table or like the reception desk, to have like a beveled edge, or like, just something a little lower, like double, like 2 levels in case you want it like accessible, like so you made that arc and then you made an equal, like you wanted to like offset it almost. Would you be able to do that, or like without having to reduce the size of it, just like mirror it but like smaller, just so it's like maybe like give the edge like a foot or so, like 12 inches of space?
This one, this piece here.
No, I mean the arc.
Oh, the arc.
Yeah.
I could. You mean like extend it out further?
Like just to represent like different like levels of the desktop.
Did you say levels?
Yeah, like something that's at least like 4 feet high or something for somebody in a wheelchair.
Well, I would hope that this is wheelchair height, but yes, let's just say that we wanted to, let's say we had a high transaction top here and a low top there or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, of course you could do that. I'm not exactly sure how I would. I probably would not have these bonnets here. I wouldn't do that. What I would do is I would just divide this, or maybe. Extend this here, and you know, this would be lower and this would be higher, or you know, yes, there, of course you could do that. You could, there's a whole bunch of ways that things that you could do.
I meant specifically that arc shape, like even like maybe a circle, like you would create a circle with probably like half a diameter than the original circle, but that arc, are you able to like mirror it like within itself,
Mirror it.
within the arc shape,
Uh,
like almost like a half donut or something?
so are you saying like that?
No, I mean like make the donut whole and almost
Make the what?
the donut whole. I know we did donuts before, but like, could you manually make a donut?
Sure. Well, all right. So I'm just sidebarring here for a minute. I'm just going to go out here. I'm just going to draw a circle here, right? And if I offset, I can offset the circle, right?
Maybe I meant an ellipse. Never mind. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just a little distracted. But I mean, like that's that shape of the desk. I mean, like that front desk. They're usually like abstract objects. I think that's the trend.
Are you asking, is it possible to do, or how do I do it?
I guess. Or
Huh?
like, could we kind of like use that at like just for creative purposes? Could we have some like room to like play with that a little bit with like maybe
I think what you're asking is, can you deviate from the
yeah.
design intent that whoever the designer is here, you want to make changes to the design? Is that right? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I'll just come out and ask it then. I would prefer you not for this project. I prefer that you just follow exactly what the intent of the designer who did this has laid out. So I know you want to go further, and I know you want to start designing, but for this class, I'd prefer that you not do that.
Okay.
So all right, and then the last thing here is she's got or he 1'3" back here, and I need to extend that, so I can use the trim tool here, and I'm holding down Shift, and that extends from wall to wall there. All right. So we have in here these lines and these lines and these lines are shown as dotted or dashed in this drawing. And so we want to draw dashed or dotted lines here. And there are a couple different ways to do it. One of the options is to actually change the properties of these lines that are on the walls layer. So what I can do over here, there's a properties palette up here. And also, if you remember, there's the properties palette out here. And you'll notice that right now, I've got, this is the line weight. Well, there's three things here. There's the color, and the color is by layer. That means that whatever the layer color is, that's what the color of the walls are going to be. There is the line weight, and there is the line type. Now, so if I click on the line type here, AutoCAD gives me a couple options here: by block, continuous, and Phantom 2. So if let me select this line here, and if I change it to Phantom 2, you'll see that it has changed it into this 2 short dashes and 1 long dash. I don't want Phantom 2 though. I want a dashed line. So I'm going to click Other. And I get my line type manager that comes up. And there are a bunch, or not a bunch, but there are a couple default line types that are loaded into my drawing: continuous and Phantom 2, and by layer. And I can load other line types by clicking Load here. And there are a number of line types that AutoCAD offers. Now, these line types that all begin with the ACAD prefix, those are line types that you'll have problems with the sizes of them, and they don't often rescale themselves when we're looking in paper space. So what I want to do is there's center lines here, which is great. There's dash dot, there's divide, fence lines, and here's some hidden lines. So hidden lines are just kind of dashed lines. So there's a hidden, and there is a hidden 2, which is shorter than a regular hidden line, just shorter dashes. And then there's a hidden X2, which are longer than the normal hidden line, which are long dashes. And I want to load the hidden 2. The hidden, what I find is that the hidden line has line, the dashes are just too long to be useful to us unless you're working on a great big site plan, but we're not. So I'm going to load the hidden X2, and I'll just hit OK. And you'll notice that hidden X2 is now loaded into my drawing. And I'm going to load one more. And that is the dashed the dash 2, or dash 0.5x, which is a smaller line. So I'm going to load both of those up into my drawing here. Now I can take that line and change it now either to where's dashed? There's dashed and hidden 2. So I'm going to choose that hidden 2 line type right there. So this dash is pretty small, a lot smaller than what we're showing on the drawing. But when we get over to our paper space, and why don't I just create a viewport? I think MView to create a viewport. And before I forget, I'll just put it on my viewports layer. And I'm going to set a scale for it. And I think I think it was 3 seconds. No, that's too small.
It says 3/16.
3/16. Thank you. There we go. So now you'll see that this hidden line here, let me lock my viewport here. You'll see that this hidden line here is, big now because we've changed the scale of this view. So the dash on this line type might be a little bit bigger than what we want. So let's look at the dashed X2. And that's giving me a better size line type, better dash. I still think though, it's a little big, that dash X2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my properties over here, and you'll notice that right away, my line type is set to dash 2, which is the same thing that I did up here. So that is consistent. And I could, if I want, I can alter that line type right here if I want. So there's 2 ways to do it. But one thing that this properties palette doesn't allow me to do that this does is to change the line type scale. Right now, my line type scale is 1. So if I change that scale down, bring it down a little bit so that it's less than 1, that's going to make these dashes a little narrower or a little tighter. And I think that that is going to look a little better on my drawing. So I'm going to, I don't know, I'm just going to try, I'll try 0.8. Let's see what that does. So I'll type 0.8 and hit enter. And there's my dashes. Pretty good, but let's go a little better. Let's do it more. Let's try 0.6. There. I think that that's going to look a lot better. So that clearly is indicating some dash lines here. And if I go back to model space over here, you'll notice that it's appearing like a solid wall here. And I mean, I have to like really zoom in to see those dash lines. So what was my scale here? 3/16 of an inch. Let's go back to model space and let's see what happens if I get a better view if I change this to 3/16 of an inch. Well, maybe a little better, but not so great. So you will notice that as you're working in model space, the line types, when you're playing with line types, you'll have that line type, but it may not be the way that you ultimately want to see it on the sheet of paper. So you need to go back and you need to be working in paper space or white model space here to adjust and manipulate these line types. So okay, so I have this line the way I want it. So now
Sorry to interrupt. I have a quick question. When I click on that, and even though I did everything with the changing under match properties, when I highlight it and change it to the hidden 2 or any of them, it doesn't change the line at all. It's just, I don't know.
Do you have the line selected?
Yes. If I select the line and then go change it to, you know, any of the dash or hidden 2, it just doesn't do anything. And I select it, hit enter, and then it doesn't change it.
Are you in model space or are you in white model space on paper space?
In model space.
You're in model space. Okay, if you switch to, and that's probably because.
Even if I really zoom in, there's no change.
Okay, try this. Type regen, REGEN. That's for regenerate your drawing.
Okay.
And see if that helps.
No, but I could play around with it and ask you.
All right,
after.
why don't you?
Hey, Paul, it's Rebecca. I have the same issue where it doesn't show up in model space, but it shows up in paper space.
Yeah, well, it's not showing up very well in my model space either. In fact, right now it's showing up as a solid line. And this is an annoyance of AutoCAD. So I hear you and I understand what your plight is with this, but that's why you want to be working in paper space to be able to get these line types exactly the way you want to see.
Okay.
Okay.
And where did you get to the properties up there under draw, under the arrow? Where exactly did you pull down the properties on the left-hand side under drawing? You know, where you were able to, like if you're in black model space, how did you get that property thing to come down?
You mean right here?
Yes, that whole sidebar.
So,
comes down.
you mean
Just
to
get the whole-
view the palette?
Yes. yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. So go to the View tab and then click on Properties right here. And that will toggle your Properties palette on and off. And
Oh, okay.
your Properties palette may appear in the middle of your drawing,
Yep.
which is perfectly fine. That's fine. But I just have mine docked. So I just bring mine off to the left and then
Okay.
it docks on my left side. And that's
Thank
just my personal working preference. Okay, so moving on. So I have a bunch of other lines to do too, right? I have this line. So I need to go over here and change the line type to -2 and then change the line type scale to 0.6, I think is what I had. I can continue on with all of these. Or I can go over to match properties here, click on it, and select the object that I want my other objects to emulate. So I'll just select this, and then I can just click on the other objects that I want to match those properties, and they will automatically do it. It will change the layer. It will change the line type. It'll change the color if I need to. And it will also change the line type scale that I had set. So that is an easy way for you to, change those line types from, whatever you want them to be to, so select, I'm explaining this badly. So select match properties, select the object, and then select the object you want to change the properties to.
Paul, so you have the line scale at 0.6, right?
I do.
On -2.
That's correct.
When I do that, the lines are much larger than what you're showing.
Well, then change your line type scale.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it had to be.
No. Make it whatever looks good, what looks professional for you.
Okay.
So I have two more openings here. These are more, they don't go wall to wall, and it looks like they're 18 inches off this corner. So I like drawing in model space rather than paper space. So I'm just going to use the line tool, and I just want to make sure that my snap tracking is on. So I'll select this point. I'm not hitting enter. I'm just moving along 18 inches, 1'6". Oops, 1'6", and go up. And the opening is 6 feet wide. And then I have another one here, and it's exactly the same. So I'll just copy. Oops. Just copy these, this point to that point. And now I need to change the line type of this opening here, because I've got the dashed lines here and here. So we go back to paper space here, and I'm going to turn off my my line weights. By the way, you can turn on and off your line weights with this little button right here. Shows when I'm showing my line weights, they're much heavier, but right now I'm going to turn them off. We haven't really talked about line weights, but we'll start talking about line weights in the next project. All right, so now I want to make sure that I'm in paper space, and or in model space here, and I am. I know that because it says model right down here, and I have my UCS icon. So so let's use the match properties, and I'll take this line type and then change. I just want to change this opening here, but look what's happening. It's selecting this area here and this area here, and it's changing the line type of that. And I don't want that. And the reason that it's doing that, let me undo that, Control Z to undo it. The reason it's doing that is that this is one line. right? This is one continuous line that goes from here to here. And when I change properties, it's changing properties of this line. So I need to divide this up into actually 3 lines, right? This piece of line here, this piece of line here, and then a middle piece. So I'll just do that with the trim tool. And I'll do the same over here. So now I have a piece of line here that will be continuous, a piece of line here that will be continuous, and then I'm going to put in a new line from here to here, and I'll change the properties of that line. I'll match properties, select this, select that, and now I have that dashed line there. So now I could just do the same thing, right? I could draw, match properties, but in this case, and again, there's no wrong answer here. I'm just going to copy. I'll just go from this point to there, and I'll select both of those, go up to there. What else? Oh, I have a closet back here. So let's just draw that closet. It's 2 feet, 2 feet deep. So I'll just offset 24 inches or 2 feet. There it is. And that wall is going to be 6 inches. And I'll just use the fillet tool. That. Fillet. That. And then I'll just do some trimming here. There's my closet. I've got it's 9 feet across, and I'm not showing the width of the opening. So let's just decide, what if it's 7 feet, just like it was before? So what I've done is I've drawn a guideline here at the midpoint, so I know where the middle of my closet is, because I want the closet doors centered on this wall. And I'm going to make my closet opening 7 feet wide, so that is 3.5 feet, right? So, 3.5 feet in this direction, 3.5 feet in this direction. So I'll offset 3'6", 3'6", there and there. And I will do a bit of trimming here. And I will erase this midpoint, this guideline there. There's my closet. So now all I need to do is add some doors, add some windows, do a little cleanup here, some trim cleanup, and then add some furniture and some text. So do I need to add a door? By now, hopefully you all can add a door. Hopefully by now you can add some furniture. Let me go through the text process once more here. So step 1, go to my text layer. Step 2, check my scale of my viewport in Paperspace, and my viewport of my viewport scale here is 3/16 of an inch equals 1 foot. So step 3 is to make sure that when I'm in model space here, let me collapse this. When I'm in model space, my scale here is 3/16 of an inch equals 1 foot. All right, good. Let me go over to annotate, and I am adding labels here, some room labels, and I'm going to draw those room labels at 1/8 of an inch. So right here, I'm set to multi-line text, And my text style is what I want to change. So I'll click on this little drop down, and mine is set to 330 seconds, but what I want is 1/8, 1/8. So I'm going to select that. And I'm going to do single line text here. So it's set to multi-line. So I'll click on this and I'll just go to single line text. And now it's asking me for the start point of the text. So I have, I've got a conference room over here. So I'll just put that. And it's asking me for the angle. You know, if I want my text to be going up or at some other angle, this is the point where I specify that. But by default, it is set to 0. How do I know that? Down here, specify rotation angle of text, and you'll see here in the little brackets 0. And 0 is what I want, so I'm going to hit enter. And now my cursor has turned into the little blinking text thing, and I will just type in conference room. Is it just conference or conference? And then I'll just hit enter. And it wants me to type another line of text, but I'm done. So I'll just hit enter again. And I've got my conference room text in place. And I can just keep going on and on. Or if I want, I could copy this, right? So I could go over and take my conference room text and move it over here and change that to showroom. And then I'll just click off of it or hit escape, and I've changed the text. So I can add text or I can copy text. One of the reasons I kind of like to copy text is if I move this text down sort of into the middle of the room, I can copy this with my ortho on, and my text is in a nice, neat, clean row rather than all over the place. So I can change this to waiting. And change this to reception. And for me, that's just kind of nice that, you know, I'm all about things lining up and being neat and professional looking as possible.
Paul,
Yeah.
forgive me if you mentioned this, but right above where behind the receptionist chair, it says reception, and then there seems to be another thin line, smaller than, sorry, that's my dog, smaller than furniture.
Right along here.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what that is? That's a piece of signage. So, and there is no dimension for that. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of, I don't know, draw some signage right there. That's on the text layer. And the reason that's on the text layer is because I have the text layer active. So I can easily change this by clicking on it and moving it to the walls layer, or I could use my match properties right here. Click on it, click a wall, and then click that, and it'll move it to it. So you can just plop something in there, you know, that kind of represents that sign there. So, you know, I'm not going to go through, oh, this would be the green room. I'm not going to go through all the entire assignment here. I think by now you know some of the basics here and are able to do it. So let me go back to this. So your job is to duplicate this image here. There's a small toilet room here that is ADA accessible. So we've got the little handicap turning radius here. We've got a tiny little kitchenette here, and well, let me look at this kitchenette here. So there is a small squeezed tiny sink here, and it looks like what they did when they created this was they squeezed this sink. So let me take this off here. Let me go over to my blocks. And let me find my, I'm gonna look in kitchen. This is always the trick, isn't it, to find these things? Oh. Maybe it's in architecture. No. Oh, bathroom maybe. Those are bathtubs. That's an oval sink. Oh my gosh, where the heck is it?
I think I used the same one and it was in Design Center. But
Oh,
yeah,
it wasn't, it was in,
it was more narrow.
all right.
Probably
So
split.
thank you. So what I will do is go over to my design center, and I will go over to my view palette here. And then off here, there's a little button here for design center. And yes, mine is set right to kitchen. So I'm going to kitchens and then blocks. And there's a double sink. And is there a single sink that I am missing?
It's right next, yeah, right there.
Thank you. Losing. All right, there is my 30-inch sink. So I will pull it in. I'll just close this.
The faucet's in there too, if you're looking for it.
Oh, well, all right. Yeah, there it is. All right, the first thing I want to do is get this onto the right layer, which is going to be my my walls layer. And I'm going to go match properties. I'm going to select something on the walls layer. Just select that, put that on there. All right, so now I've got this strange wide sink. So let's just click on it and let me open up my properties over here. Now what I can do before, what we were doing when we were using that oval sink, remember we were using the scale tool. Let me dock this off to the right and then collapse it. We were using the scale tool, and what that did was it changed the whole size of the sink. And that's fine, but what we want to do in this instance is we want to make the sink narrower. So you'll notice that when I have the sink selected and I have my properties palette open here, I have some scale options here, an X scale, a Y scale, and a Z scale. The Z scale is up in 3 dimensions. I can make it 3-dimensional, stretch it out in 3 dimensions. But we're looking at this in plan view, so the Z scale is irrelevant to us. So there is an X scale and a Y scale. So I want to change, and I'm not sure which is which. I'm going to assume that the X scale is running in the horizontal direction and the Y scale is running in the vertical direction, but I could be wrong about that. So I'm going to test it out here. And my X scale is 1. What if I change my X scale to 0.5? Well, there, it did it. It narrowed it. Now this is, it's a little bit funky here because, my sink here is now an ellipse. it's not making it exactly circular. And really the right thing to do would be to explode this block and to rebuild it. But for this, I think this is going to be perfectly fine. So so you can change the X and the Y scale factor of an object by going into your properties palette, and then under geometry here, you can change those scale factors here independent of each other. Remember, again, when we use scale, I'll just scale this whole thing. When I use scale here and I select the object, and then I'll select a base point, and then I can scale it. What it's doing is it's scaling the X and the Y equally in proportion to each other. And in this instance, and that's fine if that's what we want to do, but in this instance, we don't want to do that. So I am altering the X and Y value of the scale here. Now, if I didn't know and I thought, well, maybe it's the Y scale factor. Here, let me just change this back to 1. And you know, I wasn't sure which was X and which was Y, so I took a guess and I said the Y scale factor, and I'll make that 0.5. Oh, wait, highlight it and make it 0.5, enter. You'll see that, oops, it did it in the wrong direction. So all I need to do is undo that. Just change it back to 1, and then change the X to, you know, whatever, 0.5 or, you know, whatever looks right or seems appropriate for you. And then that sink is over here. So I'm just gonna rotate the whole sink along with the faucet. And notice I didn't change the scale factor of the faucet. I left the faucet normal. And I'll just rotate this 180 degrees. Then I'll just move it where it needs to be. There's a counter here that you're drawing, but I'm kind of positioning it more or less where it belongs. A counter is 24 inches or 25, offset 25 inches. Okay. So I'm going to leave it there. Unless any of you, is there anything that you specifically would like me to draw that you think you might not understand what to do or how to do it?
I just have questions about the sizes of the other furniture you have in. You have a bunch of desks and stuff. Do you have just general sizing on that? So we'll know what to grab, the conference table size, the diameter, the size of some of the other desks?
That's a good question. Let me see if I got it written down in my notes. I might, but
And also where to find the piano.
it's there somewhere. All right. Well, let's look at that conference table. I would say, I'm not sure how big the conference table is, but I'm going to say the let me bring.
And if it's, if it's just general, you want us just to get the practice of dragging in the furniture, that's fine. I just didn't know if you want exact sizes, because it wasn't listed.
I think this is where your ability to be a designer and to know what's appropriate comes in handy. But so let me just look at this conference table here because it's a good question.
I think it's about 12 feet. I measured with my scale.
Well,
if it printed out to scale or no.
Well, I don't know.
Did I not do that?
I don't know. But here's what I'm looking at. The width of this window is 8.4, and it is almost it's almost the size of this conference table. It's almost the width of this conference table. The conference table is a little narrower than the window. So I would guess that this conference table is 8 feet wide. So let's try that and let's see how that works. So let me go back here, and I'm gonna go to my furniture layer. So I'm drawing furniture on the right layer. I'll go over to my circle, and it's asking me for the radius of the circle. So I'm going to say 4 feet. And then, yes, let's pull in going to go to office furniture here. And let's see, here's a conference chair. And I'm going to move this so that the insertion point right there, right in the middle, is right at the quadrant of my circle. And I'm just going to move it back an inch or two, or some distance. And then I'm going to array it. So let me just go over to array. I want a polar array. Oops. Let me try that. Polar array. Select the chair, the center point of the array, which is the center of this table. There we go. And I need how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's just change my objects to 8. That looks perfect. So let's say an 8-foot table in that room. As for the other desks, you know, it's an executive desk, so I would probably do a 36 by 72 in there. And I would give him a 72-inch credenza. I like putting the credenza the same size as the desk. And I would, if it were me, I would align.
Paul, for the waiting room, are those chairs someplace other than office? Would they be like under?
I think that those are under upholstered furniture. Let's see if I can find it. And let's see, is it symbols? Let me go to miscellaneous. There's a baby grand under miscellaneous. 88 keys on that thing. So that was 2D blocks, furniture, miscellaneous, and then you've got your, oh, there's an upright and there is a baby grand in there. But let me go back to upholstery. And there, I think this, oh, where is that chair? There it is. It's a womb chair. So,
Can I have one more question,
sure.
and I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. In the closet, how long are those wings between the doors?
This here,
Yes.
I don't know how long they are, but I could measure them for you.
Okay.
1 foot.
Okay. Is that standard or that's just what you do?
No, it's not. Nor what's standard is the size of the door. That's the important thing. So in this case, this door is 7 feet wide. You know, if you want, actually, if you wanted, you can make that door 8 feet wide. You know, it would be another 6 inches here and another 6 inches there, and you could make that door wider if you wanted. But I'm showing it 7 feet wide because this plan doesn't really show, you know, a size. So 7 or 8, either one. No one. I won't bite you if you choose one or the other. But the only thing that I would be looking for is that it's centered. You know, I think there's nothing more odd if you have a piece of you know, if you're in this room and you're looking at this wall, right, at the closet wall, and this is like, you know, what did I say? This is like 1.5 feet on this side and it's 6 inches on this side. You know, that just looks odd and awkward. And you know, I would much rather see that centered.
And the door width would be.
It's 1 3/4.
Right. So,
That's
Yeah,
the same as the regular doors.
the standard width of a door is 1 3/4. And if you're unsure, if you can't remember, when you pull your door in, let me pull in a door. When you bring your door in, and by the way, all of our doors are 3 feet wide. So by default, these doors are 3/4 wide. So I want to bring that down to 3 feet. And our doors swing 90 degrees. But the question was, what is the width of these closet doors? And it's the same width as the leaf of these doors. So I can go to my measure tool here and I can just go select that. I'm sorry, did I say 3/4 of an inch? It's 1 3/4 of an inch. So the distance is 1 3/4 of an inch. And I have mine set to measure here, but if I do just quick and I go in here, there it is. It'll show you in brown there. It says 1 3/4 of an inch.
I have a question about moving furniture, or like desks and things 2 inches away from the wall. So when you do the move, do you have to first start with it touching the wall in order to do move and then type in 2 inches for it to be away? Or if it's already, say if
No.
it's already away, you know, just eyeballing it a little
Yeah,
bit. Try to move it. That's when I have a hard time making it work.
yeah, I think you can just eyeball it and make it work. You know, I tend to be like super anal when I'm doing mine. So I'll, you know, make them all, when I'm doing my plans, I make them 2 inches off or whatever.
So yeah, so if you want it to be exactly 2 inches, do you have to first start with it touching the wall and then move it,
Yeah,
type
Yeah.
in 2 inches?
yeah, that's what you would have to do. So let me just rotate this desk here.
Because if you start with it out a little bit, it just never seems to work right.
Right. So I've got my wall, I have my office desk here. And what I would do is I would take it and I would move it from this endpoint here, and I would go right to the corner of the room. And then what I would do is I would do a move, and this would be it's actually 2 moves. So I would move these, and I'm moving it in to the left 2 inches, and then I would move it to the right. Oh, and by the way, so here's something that I haven't talked about. So I want to move, so I moved these 2 objects, right? And now I want to move those same 2 objects again. And I could just click and click both objects. But there is another little shortcut, and that is P for previous. If I just type in P and enter, it will select the previous objects that I was moving or rotating or whatever the last previous objects that I was doing something with. It will select those objects. So you'll notice that it selected these 2 objects. And it still wants to select more objects. I may want to add more to that selection set, but I don't. So I'll just hit my space bar or enter key. And now I can move down, and I'm going to move down in this direction 2 inches. So now my desk is exactly 2 inches off the walls.
Okay. So now say you goofed up and it's where it is and you actually want it to be 3 inches away. Do you need to move it back to the wall before you can move it out?
No,
You move
no,
it in from where
you
it
can
is.
just move it an additional inch.
That's where I have an issue. It never wants to go right.
So, all right, so yes. So let's just say, oh my gosh, I want this 3 inches from this back wall for whatever reason, right? So I'll just type move, and then I'll just pick a point anywhere. It doesn't really matter. And I know I'm going to go 1 more inch to the left, right? So I'll just pick a point and I'm moving in the direction I want to go. and I'll just type 1 and enter. And now this distance is 3 inches.
Okay.
There it is.
Right. It's just me, mine were coming out with strange numbers like 1 and 7/16 and, but I finally got it.
Oh, okay. I know
Wow.
why. I know why. And that is because you don't have ortho on.
Okay.
So you think that you are moving it. Let me turn my ortho off. So it looks like you're moving it across, right? But you might be moving it slightly down. I'm exaggerating it a little, but you're moving it slightly. So I'm going to move it 1 more inch here, but I'm moving it what I think is 1 inch. And now when I go to measure, well, it's still saying 4 because it was close enough. But I'm sure that's the reason.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, for
Yeah.
the receptionist desk and the coat rack, the hanging, the coat rack bar, should we do that millwork layer or no, just leave it on walls for this project?
It can be on the walls layer, but if you want to put it on a millwork layer, I would probably smile.
Okay.
So you could do it on either, but I personally think it's good practice to have it on a millwork layer.
So
So
for
if
that, would you do the arc, the line behind the reception desk?
It would be this arc.
Uh-huh.
It would be this. This is the other edge of the counter, and
Right.
then it would be the bonnets. So these
Okay.
lines also would be on the millwork layer.
Okay.
And
And
then
then,
the hat shelf over here is
The hat
usually
shelf.
1'3", so offset, or 1'2", offset 1'2", and then I would put that on the millwork layer.
and the kitchen cabinet.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Paul, I just have 2 quick questions.
Sure.
If we needed to grab a dimension or try to check one, would it be okay to use our architectural scale to use the 3/16 on the printout to try to measure things actually on the plan that we have printed out if we needed to
Well-
grab some dimensions, or is that just
Let me
not
see.
precise
Here, wait,
enough?
let me grab my scale. Hold on. Find it.
I feel like in theory it should work.
So
But-
I printed mine out and I did no scaling on it. I just printed it actual, and it should, let me just see here, 3/16. And let's see if that's conference room is 15 feet. No, it is not measuring 15 feet.
Well, oh, I see.
So
So no.
So something has gotten scaled down, unfortunately,
Okay.
on the PDF. And it's
Okay,
a-
no problem.
It's a good question, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not quite where it's scalable.
No problem. And then my other question is, I've just noticed different distances that the chairs are from the desk. Is that just a preference thing, or is there just a standard, the guest chair should be this many inches every time? Sometimes I see them tucked underneath desks and other plans. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to pick your brain on that.
No, there's no real set distance. You'll notice that when I located this conference chair, I just kind of like moved it up, some distance. I generally don't like to see chairs tucked under. What I like to do is see the chairs pulled out so that if a person were actually sitting here, they might, their knees might be underneath the table, but maybe the chair is pulled out, their back or their seat would be over here, and the chair might be pulled out a little further. I like to show it that way so that I know that when this conference table is occupied, no one's going to be hitting the wall. If I show all the chairs tucked and I pull the conference table closer to the wall, then I don't have a clear indicator of, how tight that's going to be. If someone's actually going to be able to get behind here and get into a seat here. So I do generally like to show the chairs out, and the same with the desks. I like to show them out so that I know when someone is sitting at this desk, he's not going to be hitting, or she is not going to be hitting this credenza, as they're working, or there's enough space here so that they can pull their chair out and then exit out.
Thank you.
And what are the sizes of the credenza for the accounting room and like office manager?
Well, let's see. So let me go over to.
You just want us to eyeball it and pick one?
Yeah, I think so. I would say that probably these desks out here are not the executive desk, 36 by 72. So I would go with the 30 by 60 desk out here. I think that's probably the right size there. And then there is a 30 by 60 or a 20 by 60, I'm sorry, credenza. Back here. And there's a bridge here, and I don't see a bridge. So, all right, so let me. Normally a bridge is 42 or 60 inches. Let me turn on my ortho here. So I'll just say 42 inches. So I have a 42-inch gap here, and I'll just draw a line here and offset it. Let's see, 24 inches, see how that looks. No, that's too much. Let's offset 18.
Now,
go on.
Looking at the plan, how did you know that was a bridge? It just looks like another bookcase or credenza.
Well, because I'm used to working on furniture, but this is sort of that the side table here. A lot of times people will put a monitor here and a keyboard to keep their desk clear, or something over here. And in general, those bridges or this piece of furniture here, and yes, sometimes it is another credenza, it's sort of pieced together, but this is often 42 inches wide by 18 or 24 inches deep. So there is, let's see, there is a workstation over here. Let me copy. I'm going to just copy this credenza here. That'll serve as the end, and then I'll copy this over, and I'll rotate it. That seems a little short there. Oh, because I have it wrong. There we go. So I've got that workstation, and then I can put a chair in here, and then I can mirror this. And it looks like there's a little gap between those. Maybe that is a little workstation panel. So I'll just move this over 2 inches. And then there's another desk, and I'll just mirror here over in that corner. And boom, my open office area is pretty much filled. And I have some table here. Oops, I didn't want to move that. I wanted to copy that. Copy. So, you know, I'm not measuring that area. I'm just kind of setting it in place, more or less. I'm kind of eyeballing it. Anything else?
I just have a question about the bathroom, the
Sure.
sink. What are the dimensions, or should we just eyeball for like right next to the toilet, that sink? I'm blanking on the name of it right now.
I
The
would-
table.
You talking about that vanity there?
Yes, the vanity.
sink?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that should be 24 by 36. So let's just see, 24 comma 36. I think that's perfect. And then you can just fit a toilet in here. But if it is too big, you can make it 24 by 30. You know, if your toilet isn't fitting in here properly, then make it 24 by 30. So, all right, well, you know what? Wait a minute. So let's think about this, because this is an ADA bathroom. That's a really good question. Thank you for answering that. So an ADA toilet, I need to have my toilet 18 inches from this corner, the center line of the toilet. So let's offset 18 inches. Aha. And let's offset another 18 inches. Now, that is where the toilet goes. And my vanity will fit in this remaining space. So I said that the vanity was 24 inches deep. So I'm just offsetting here 24 inches. And then I will just fill it and trim out this. So there's my vanity, and then my toilet will fit in right here where the center line of the toilet, or the insertion point of the toilet right back here, will be right at this point. So this is 18 inches from the center line to the corner of the room, and then 18 inches from the center line to the edge of the vanity.
And I assume you'd want us to dimension the whole thing as shown in the drawing too. when you
No, I
submit.
think
Or no?
oh, yes, I would show the dimensions that are on the drawing. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. What else?
The kitchen sink, how long is that? Is there about 6 inches between the door and the end of it?
You mean from the edge here to the wall?
Yeah, the edge of the countertop to the wall. It shows that the kitchen is 9'6", but it doesn't show the countertop length.
What I would probably do is I would think in terms of standard countertop widths, which is 3 feet, so or 30 inches. Let's just see. So does that give me enough space for a door? Looks like it does.
Paul, wasn't there something you were saying about ADA code and offsetting like the outside trim of the door at least 18 inches because of that code? So couldn't we just offset the door?
Yes, there is, but and it's on the pull side of the door. So let me trim this out a little bit. So in this toilet room here, the pole side of the door is within the toilet room, right? Because you are, to get out of the room, you are pulling the door open towards you to get out of the room. In that instance, I need to have 18 inches from the edge of the door over before there's any kind of obstruction. And I clearly have that, right? Because the next obstruction, let me get rid of this guideline here. The next obstruction would be this vanity right here, right? So I clearly have that. On this side, I need a foot or sometimes less. So what I could do, go over 12 inches and then go up. So that would be the maximum size of my kitchen counter. So let's see what that size is. So the width of that counter is 5'4" and the depth is 2'1". That's the biggest it could be. Personally, you know what I would do? I personally, if I were doing this, because 5'4" means that this is going to be custom, I would make it 5 feet. That's probably what I would do. But you can make it 5'4". That's fine. At this point, I'm kind of less concerned with the overall size of it rather than, you getting that sink in properly and the doors in properly with, door frames shown properly, etc. And things on the, things on the proper layer.
Paul, if the measurement's not shown on the diagram, should we still be showing it? Like, would we need to add in the measurement for that?
No,
Counter?
I think for the purposes of this assignment, if you just show the dimensions that are being shown on the handout, I think you will be in good shape. That'll be fine. Is that what you were asking, Rebecca?
Yeah, I mean, because then not that it's irrelevant, but it's not exactly precise.
At this point of the game, so what is this? Is this a construction document that we're producing? No, it's not. This is something that we're going to show the client, and the client isn't interested in knowing if this is 1 foot here. What the client's interested in knowing is what's the size of this toilet room, right? The client is interested in knowing what this area is. This is a little kitchenette area, or what the names of these rooms are. So I think mainly the main thing here is to get the overall sizes of the rooms and maybe the opening sizes here. Those are what the client is looking for at this point.
Okay, so just match what's on the handout.
Yes, please. So you'll draw it out, you'll put your furniture in, over in paper space. By the way, I still don't have 100% of everyone putting the viewport on the viewport layer with the viewport locked. We're getting closer. And then please do fill in the title block. And then upload your document and you'll be good.
And again, all the same dimensions that are in pink on the handout that we have.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, so please do upload your homework for today. which is the law office furniture layout. And then for Monday, is today Thursday? Yeah, for Monday, get this piano factory plan laid out. And then we will be talking about making changes. You know, what theoretically what's going to happen is we're going to present it to the client, and the client's going to say, hey, we want to make some changes. And then we're going to show those changes, and we're going to document the changes. So that's sort of the focus for next week. Okay, so that's all I have for you today, unless there's any other questions. If anyone wants to stay after school to ask something in either one-on-one or in a small group, I'm here. But otherwise, thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. I hope you have a great afternoon.